Hello everyone, my name of course is Arttimage and welcome to day 7 of VEDA. Full week today. Good work, me. So as I've made mention of in previous years, I play tabletop RPGs. Like most people, I start with Dungeons & Dragons and have moved on to others from there. In the process, I've seen several edition changes, as well as with other games such as miniature war games. With D&D, I saw the release of 3, 3.5, and 4 when I was actively playing. With Warhammer 40k, I saw 5th go to 6th and then announced 7th and I was out. With Shadowrun, I started off in 4th and then hit 5th and now we see the 6th World Edition. With Infinity, I started off in Infinity 2nd Edition, was around for the release of 3rd, though took a hiatus in there, and we have 4th coming out soon. For some people, these edition changes are really exciting and bring a lot of cool news and interesting details and a lot of hope. I mean, when Warhammer 40,000 6th edition was announced, they said that they were just kind of saying that you could throw away anything and start with whatever, and they didn't really do that, but it brought a lot of ideas to the table. It gave a hope for game balance. With Infinity going from 2nd to 3rd edition, they announced that they wanted to do a lot of cleanup and simplification, hence we went from very simulation range bands down to very simplified at 8-inch chunks, and it introduced a lot more situations where you weren't being disallowed your face-to-face rolls. D&D into 3rd edition went to a simplification of using the D20, and then went to something more MMORPG-like to appeal to a newer player base, and now has reduced the amount of video game simulation, I guess you would call it, and introduced ideas of advantage and disadvantage. Keep in mind, I'm speaking from a place of not having played 5th edition D&D. This is just how I've heard about it, so please feel free to let me know if I'm way off base, but the idea was still they wanted to make things a little easier to get into. And within the past year, we've had the release of Shadowrun 6th World Edition, the 6th edition of the game. And I don't find myself excited for this version. Now, I did have a similar reaction going from 3/3.5 to 4. Part of that was indeed a sunk cost fallacy sort of thing. Like, I had invested a lot. I spent a lot of time in the game, GMing for the RPGA, doing this homebrew stuff for myself. Like, I had created a whole world with custom classes and all kinds of things, and I was really proud of what I had done there, and I wasn't looking forward to basically starting from zero, but I wanted to keep up with the RPGA, so I moved over to 4th. In Warhammer 40k, I was looking at possibly some sort of game where the balance was the focus, not just a means of selling models. I'm sorry 40k fans, your company basically admits that when they say that they're a model company that happens to produce a game. This worked out with fantasy because the models were generic. The models are not that generic for 40k. On Shadowrun 6th World Edition, I'm just finding a lot of the rule changes don't speak to me. I mean, the core of the game is still there. You don't have classes, you have archetypes. You can build to that as you want. You can make pretty much anything function and really show an investment into a character rather than a game piece. And I still love that. But now you've got this whole reworking of Edge where it's much like an advantage system from D&D, and this feels out of place to me. Edge now seems to represent more of a tactical awareness of the situation than it does an actual expenditure of effort and luck. Yes, Shadowrun's biggest hurdle is the fact that it is a very crunchy game, but this also allows for a robust character creation process that makes all kinds of things something you can invest in. If you look at D&D, certain classes are meant to be played certain ways. We really saw that heavily in 4th edition when they actually released a strategy guide for character builds. And I don't want to see Shadowrun turn into that. Now absolutely, there is nothing that forces you to move on to a new edition. And so I myself am really choosing that primarily I'm going to stick with 5th edition. This also creates an additional barrier to simply engaging in the hobby, because it's harder to get people into an older edition, especially when the materials are harder to find. Now granted, right now, things are not easier to find given that so much is on Drive-Thru-RPG for various editions of games. But this also implies a bit of accessibility to everyone to get this. Not everyone is going to want to bring their laptop around the gaming sessions, not everyone feels that a tablet is most appropriate, and not everyone has a tablet or wants one. Now, I'm not arguing against the progress of a game. I'm not even arguing that you shouldn't be changing editions just because people are invested. The biggest argument I would say is present in this discussion today is simply remember what makes your game special and try and adhere to that. That's really all I've got to come up with on this topic today, so we'll close it off here. Why don't you let me know about any older editions of games that you prefer down in the comments below. And until tomorrow, take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll talk to you then.